Is now is Associate Professor of Political Science at Skidmore College, Dr. Ron Seyb. Ron, good to see you as always.
Oh, it's a delight to be here. Thank you so much.
What was your first reaction when you heard the president was not going to be campaigning for president?
Well, certainly surprise. I mean, this is an unprecedented moment on the one hand. On the other hand, because we had 24 days of increasing pressure on Joe Biden by very prominent members of the Democratic Party to step aside, it wasn't a shock. Though, again, we are now in a situation we've never been in before where we've had the nominee of a major party dropping out this close to the general election.
Ron, so good to have you here with us. The theme of the campaign so far, a big focus of it has been Joe Biden's age.
Absolutely.
What does it change to now?
Well, certainly that issue is now off the table. Kamala Harris is 59 years old. She's 18 years younger than Donald Trump. The people that are being bandied about as possible vice presidential nominees are all really in their 40s or early 50s, with the exception of Mark Kelly from Arizona, and he's a spry 60. So I think that now the Democratic Party can actually make an argument about generational change, which we know has never been an unsuccessful kind of campaign. We go back to John Kennedy. So I think that does help them, and it causes the Republicans to really have a reset on what their messaging is going to be, because it was so laser focused on Joe Biden's infirmities.
Right.
When President Biden first announced yesterday via X, I think is where the first place, we saw that he was not going to continue to seek re-election. There was much discussion about an open convention, but in the last 24 hours, it appears that Kamala Harris is going to be the Democratic candidate for president. Is that not the case?
Yes, it's really it's really moved at racehorse pace. I think what's happened is that the party has coalesced around Kamala Harris. And back in I think the Democratic Party, it's oftentimes said in the United States, we have strong partisanship but weak parties, because the people ultimately choose the nominees. But in the last two election cycles, 2016 and 2020, the Democratic establishment, so to speak, has rallied around Hillary Clinton first, then Joe Biden, and really kind of pushed to the sideline people like Bernie Sanders. So that I think this is an example of the establishment really taking the reins. And we can see, I think it's a coordinated effort. We have state parties meeting in Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina to ensure their delegates vote in a block for Kamala Harris. So I think, and the explanation is they want to beat Donald Trump. Polling shows that before 2020, most Democratic voters, if asked to choose between two candidates, one who was more in ideological alignment with them, one who could win, they would choose the candidate who was more in ideological alignment with them. After 2020, they now want to win. A majority of Democrats want to choose the candidate who has electability, and they're hoping that's Kamala Harris.
Ron, quickly, there have been names tossed around as her running mate. One name is the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah.
Are we ready for two women on the ticket?
It's really interesting you asked that, because I was listening to a high-placed Democratic official saying, well, that's too risky. On the other hand, I think people do like to cast a historic vote. We learned that in 2008. Was America ready for an African-American president? In 2007, most people would have said no. And then Barack Obama proved that people do like to vote for something that's historic, that's meaningful. So, I think that it's not the odds-on favorite that Governor Whitmer will be the vice president. I think it's safer to say that Kamala Harris will choose somebody who's a white governor from a swing state. But it's possible, because I think that would be the most dynamic, potent, exciting ticket that they could put together.
And they're likely doing polling to determine just that right now, right?
Absolutely right. They're going through the numbers right now to see how these various possibilities of running mates poll in these various swing states. Absolutely. And will people accept a candidate that has two women on it?
Right.
Right.
Dr. Ron Seyb, thank you very much. It's always good to see you.
Oh, it's always pleasant to talk to you guys.
Extraordinary times. Ron, thank you very much.